Alright, Mad City Fantasy Football. Here we are in week 3 already, and there's some COVID. And it just got announced that, well, the Titans will be postponing their game this weekend. So possibly till Monday. I don't know how that's going to work out very well. You can't really postpone NFL games. You can't play 2 games in a row like baseball or anything like that, but I'm not really sure. Anyways, so I'm sorry I missed last week. I kind of just spaced on it. But here we are this week, and I'm back to make my reviews. Anyways, let's get down to it. Here are your matchups for week 3. Here's the first matchup of the week. We got Nate versus Harry. Patrick Mahomes, more like Patty McNasty. This dude balled out for 40 points. I just can't. He's unstoppable. He also had Tyler Lockett score 3 touchdowns. Russell Wilson is having a hell of a year, and he's finding targets easily. And I'm pretty sure that Tyler Lockett was the highest wide receiver of the week. He didn't stop there. Nick Chubb, or the Chubster as I like to call him, also had a sick game running all over Washington. Even with my injuries, I put up a heck of a fight. My defense was the real star this week. They were playing the Jets, so the Colts defense had really a great week. They scored 27 points. Kyler Murray also keeping it consistent for 21 points. This was, however, not enough to take down Nate as his team takes down the victory. Final score, 135.2 for Nate, 119.4 for Harry. Congrats, Nate. It was also Nate's 40th birthday this week. He turned 40 on 9/29, so happy birthday, you fuckface. Also, Nate, you won the high score for this week, so you get the 25 smackers. All right, our next matchup, we got Justin versus Eric. This was actually probably one of the closest matches of the week. It came right down to the wire. Austin Eckler had a big game for Eric, scoring 20 points. However, Matt Ryan and the Falcons looked completely awful and really didn't do anything for Eric's team. I think Matt Ryan had like 14 points. Justin's team was pretty much in the same boat. He had James Conner go off for 20 points this week, but both teams really had similar performances from their players. That's what made the game so close. Unfortunately, though, Eric was beat by 1.44 points this week. Final score, 83.46 for Justin and 82.02 for Eric. That's a tough one to lose. So close, but just not there. All right, on to our next matchup. We got Ben Meyer versus Jesse. Wentz-ass Prater, more like busted-ass players. Ben had a disappointing week from Josh Jacobs this week, only scoring 6 points. He did have Carson Wentz show up and get 21 points this week. Also, he did have Matt Prater, which is in his name after all, having a good week, scoring 14 points for the Lions. The rest of his team, though, just awful. Not even worth talking about. Jesse, on the other hand, had Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees combine for 54 total points, which is half of his overall total score. This victory was very easy for Jesse this week. He basically just had to sit back and relax and watch his team dominate. His team is definitely one to watch for the playoffs this year. Final score, 109.42 for Jesse, 73 for Ben Meyer. Good luck next week, guys. All right, we got Matt versus Zach. I may have been wrong about Josh Allen. He's slinging the football better or just as good as anybody out there. He starts off Matt's teams just right with a 31 points for the week. The Buccaneers defense, however, had a good week as well, scoring 14 points as they were playing one of the worst teams in the NFL, that being the Broncos. However, Mr. Splooge himself decided to double down on A-Rod, and it paid off. He got 24 points from him, and the Packers got a huge victory over the Saints this week. Derrick Henry is continuing to show his domination for the Titans, scoring 25 points this week. The biggest factor, however, for this week's matchup wasn't even a player that was on the field, because he did not put a player in his slot. Matt did not play a kicker. If Matt would have played a kicker and that kicker would have scored 2.5 points or more, he would have taken the victory. But instead, the Splooge sneaks by with the victory, which was basically given to him by Matt. Matt, get your shit together. You had the first pick in the draft, and you're not playing a kicker. Final score, 101.63 for Matt, 103.92 for Zach. Good win, Zach. Terrible loss for Matt. All right, our next matchup is the Battle of Tom versus Tim. Only one letter differentiates their names, But one of them seems to know what they're doing with fantasy football this year. Tom had Lamar Jackson have a bad game against the Chiefs, only scoring 14 points. However, he had some overachievers this week. James Robinson from the Jaguars had a big game, scoring 25 points for him. He also had Michael Gallup, who tripled his original projection, scoring 20 points. But would it be enough to take down Tim, who had Tom Brady score 23 points and led his new fucking traitor team to victory? He also had Tyreek Hill have a good game, scoring 16 points. Also, for some reason, he played the Saints defense against the Packers. Why would you play any defense against these teams? Are you even a fan, Tim? Do you even believe in your own team? They scored -3 points. This one wasn't even close. Ritter walks all over Tim in this one. Final score, Tim 87.3, now 0-3 in this for the season. Tom 110.98. Congratulations, Tom, on your second victory of the season. All right, our last matchup of the week, we got Ben Straka versus Payne. Russell Wilson has been having one of those years. He had an insane game, throwing 5 touchdowns and getting 37 points for Ben's team. He also had Mason Crosby for the Packers have a big game, scoring 16 points with that golden foot of his. Payne has been a fierce competitor this year. He had Dalvin Cook have a big game for the Vikings, getting 24 points. He also had Keenan Allen show up this week, getting him 17 points. However, the big story of what was that at QB for Payne, he chose Cam Newton over Josh Burrow this week, which I would have too. I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't have, but Cam only had 11 points. If he would have played Josh Burrow this week, he would have gotten 20 points from him, and that would have been just enough to get him the victory. Well, that's fantasy football, though. Got to play the right players. And this week, Payne, you didn't. Sorry about that. Final score, 120.78 for Payne, 129.3 for Ben. Good win, Ben. Better luck next week, Payne. All right. Well, that ends all of the reviews. Hopefully you guys still like this, and hopefully COVID fucks off and we continue to see an NFL season. I really would be disappointed during this winter time being at home if we can't watch some football. So anyways, good luck next week to all of you, and congratulations to all the winners. I was not one of them.